Have you ever wondered about the power of promises and their impact on our lives? What if the promises we're holding on to could change everything, guiding us through generations and into our future, just as it did for our forebears? And what if the key to unlocking a life of profound faith and purpose rests in understanding a lineage that spans from the dawn of humanity? In today's sermon, we dive deep into Genesis chapter 5, a passage that traces the lineage from Adam to Noah. This might appear as a simple genealogy at first glance, but embedded within these names and years are powerful truths about faith in God's promises. These ancient lifespans reflect not just the passage of time, but the enduring faith and trust in God's grand plan. Our exploration of this chapter will reveal how this lineage is not merely historical, but deeply spiritual, an invitation to see how our lives fit into the grand tapestry of God's promises. Genesis 5 takes us through the generations of Adam, laying out a meticulous record of names, ages, and the begetting of sons and daughters. But beyond the surface of these details lies a profound testament to the faithfulness and reliability of God's promises. Each generation carries forward the promise given to Adam and Eve that despite the fall, humanity's story is guided by a divine plan. Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. Genesis 5, 3-4. The emphasis on likeness and image here is significant, echoing back to the creation story where mankind was made in God's image. Seth becomes a new beginning for humanity, a beacon of hope in the wake of Abel's tragic death. As we continue down the list, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and eventually Noah, we see lifespans that stretch over centuries. This isn't merely about longevity, but about the unwavering continuity of faith through challenging times. Enoch, who walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Genesis 5:24 gives us a striking portrait of deep personal faith. Enoch didn't merely live, he walked intimately with God, showing us that such a relationship is not confined to the confines of a time period, but is a timeless pursuit for those who believe. Now think about this for a moment. How often do we measure our lives by the calendar rather than by the depth of our faith and our walk with God? The story of these patriarchs encourages us to shift our perspective, to see our lives as part of a larger divine chronology where faith is the anchor that holds us steady through the ages. As we reach Noah, we meet a man who is destined to play a pivotal role in the next great chapter of humanity's story. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Genesis 5:32. Noah's introduction sets the stage for the monumental task he will undertake, affirming that God's plans are both grand and specific. The faith passed down through generations equips Noah for the task ahead, building the ark amidst a world of disbelief. Reflect on this. Our faith, much like Noah's, is not just for us, but is inherited from those before us and entrusted to those after us. It's a chain of hope, a lineage of trust in God's assurances. How we live and believe today impacts the spiritual legacy we leave for future generations. Just as the faith of Adam, Seth, and Enoch reached Noah, our faith can transcend time, shaping the future in ways we might not yet comprehend. Looking at this genealogy, we understand that God's promises are like seeds planted generation after generation, growing and blooming in ways that are sometimes beyond our immediate understanding. Each name on this list represents a link in a chain, each link strengthened by unwavering faith and trust in God's grand design. Remember the overarching narrative here. In every era, despite the fallenness of the world, God's commitment to his promises remains unshakable. This should resonate with us deeply today. We may live in a world of uncertainty, but just as God was faithful to Adam and his descendants, he remains faithful to us. Let's bring it home. How are we anchoring our faith today? Do we hold on to God's promises with the conviction that our fathers in faith did, despite not seeing the immediate fulfillment of those promises in their lifetimes? This chapter challenges us to foster a faith that reaches beyond the immediate to the eternal, trusting in the grand narrative that God is weaving through our lives and the lives of those to come. To really let this sink in, I encourage you to take a moment right now and reflect on how your faith can be a living testament, a heritage of trust, for the generations that follow. Type "I believe and wait" in the comments if you're ready to stand firm in the promises of God, trusting that His plan for you and your descendants is unfolding in ways you might not yet see. As we conclude this exploration of Genesis 5, let's carry forward the message of unyielding faith in God's promises. Each name, each lifespan, each act of trust recorded here serves to remind us that we are part of a much larger story, a story where faith is our anchor and God's promises are our guiding light. Stay tuned for our next journey into Genesis chapter 6, where we will uncover how Noah's unwavering faith leads him to undertake the monumental task entrusted to him by God. Until then, keep walking in faith, knowing that you are part of a divine lineage that spans the ages, anchored in the promises of our faithful God.